What's going on, Marvel Rivals Chads? It's the end of the week, and that means it's time to talk about the latest controversy in the game. And this week, the developers introduced a cheeky little mechanic called Chrono Shield Cards. And this was part of the Galacta's gift event. They kind of disguised it behind the costume coin, and the way it functions is essentially by protecting you from losing points in the ranked mode. Within ranked mode, if you don't know, there is a function called the Chrono Shield. But the difference is you gain this Chrono Shield by losing matches. So after maybe 3 matches, you'll get loss protection, which rewards you for continuing to play in the system. And part of the major controversy of these rewards is that they essentially just protect you from losses without having to risk anything, removing a large part of what makes a competitive game competitive. Simple fact of the matter is, if you're not risking anything in a ranked mode, then it's not really a ranked mode, is it? Now, this move has definitely pissed off a lot of pro players. Some of them are even calling it the end of competitive within Marvel Rivals, and I do not believe that at all. I think the first thing we really have to consider is that the Marvel Rivals devs are about to move to 2-month seasons. We're currently in 3-month seasonal cycles with a hero introduced every 90 days or so, and whenever they introduce this new hero, they do a major balancing rework and they'll reset people's rank points. The last time they did the reset, it took people down 9 whole stages, which meant that if you were at the top of gold, you fell all the way down to the bottom of bronze, and it created a kind of cesspool effect, where decent players were having to slum it out with really bad players, and it created a kind of awkward experience at the beginning of the season. Another major factor is that the developers introduced a solo performance bonus on ranked points. So if you're getting a lot of final hits or you're contributing to eliminations, you're gonna rank up incredibly fast. But that also means if you're playing a hero that's more of a support type, i.e. most of the heroes, you're not really gonna be getting those rank points swiftly. It's gonna take you probably double the time of a good DPS to get to the top levels. Combine this with how powerful dive team compositions have been this season, which contributed to a strategist strike less than a month ago. And regardless of how you feel about players striking from a game, being a strategist has been a very hard role this season. I'm mostly a Vanguard main, but after playing 100 games with Sue Storm, I got a very different perspective on how these games play out. Being a strategist means having a lot of responsibility, being expected to do a whole lot with a whole little, and at the end of the game, it seems like you're not really getting rewarded that much. The point system isn't giving you a lot, you're not getting a lot of appreciation from your DPS, and it definitely doesn't help when some of the top pro players are talking down on the role. It's like everyone kind of forgot that this is a team-based game and it's built around the triangle. If even one person is slacking, it's very unlikely that you're gonna get a win. It's undeniable that hero shooters have a very high learning curve, and Marvel Rivals has an even greater difficulty on top of that, since it has the inbuilt synergy system for all the heroes. And with nearly 40 characters in the game at the moment, that means it takes a lot of time to actually learn the ins and outs, the basics, the fundamentals of how to succeed in this game, and I'm of two minds of this. It definitely leads to some condescension from the pro players towards the casual crowd, and the casual crowd represents a majority of the player base. There is a matter of kind of spitting in the face of your customers in that sense. But also on the other side, I think there's an unreasonable expectation from some more casual players that everyone in their lobbies should know everything about the game and perform perfectly. And with strategists, there's a lot of teamwork going on. You gotta know when to peel, you gotta keep an eye on them, you gotta know when to push forward, and they gotta know when to push forward with you. Ultimately, I think all these factors kind of festered into a boiling pot of bad blood, and it led to a really big player base fall off in this season. In fact, only a couple days ago, this game for the first time ever hit below 50,000 concurrent players on Steam charts. Granted, this was at 3 a.m. American time. Whenever it's prime time America, we're getting 150 to 200,000 players, and of course you have the console players who probably push that upwards of 500,000 plus. But this combination of toxic energy, unrewarding point systems, and frankly player ego led to a massive burnout, or what they like to call in the industry, churn. And Netease is very aware of churn. They've built their systems in this game around managing churn. Now, there's a lot of controversy if you'll ask a pro whether it's skill-based or engagement-based matchmaking that they use in this game. My opinion is it's a mix of both. There's research out there involving paperwork done directly by these developers that shows that they know how to squeeze the people of their money, because that is the whole point of engagement-based systems. They want to keep you playing long enough that you're satisfied to spend some money. But in Marvel Rivals Season 2, frankly, for reasons outside of Netease's control, there was a major player base churn, and these Chrono Shield cards are just their attempt to get people back to bump the player numbers up before Season 2.5 when they bring out Ultron. The fact is, the majority of the player base in this game is gold rank or below, which is why you always want to give player complaints some credence, but ultimately you have to say there's an amount of player ego. Because most players within this game don't exactly understand how to completely play this game to its maximum potential. It's way too early to say that we know the complete depths of this system when even the pros are learning new things on a daily basis. On top of that, this game already had a very loose ranking up system. Combine the Chrono Shield system with the fact that you can gain more than 2 times the points you lose at the earlier ranks. It means if you're actually an average player, you should cruise through bronze and silver into gold. I think it's really that most players don't give the game enough time, they don't play enough rounds, and my evidence of this is that most comments that are mad at the game usually relay some story about an individual diver who jumped on the back line, or an individual tank who rushed into the front. And I'll tell you guys quite frankly, I don't really remember individual stories and individual rounds in this game, because I'm playing a lot of rounds to learn the system. And I think that's a mentality more players should definitely have in this game if they want to improve. I think it would be a lot healthier for everyone to approach the game with that mentality. Because even if there's engagement-based systems in this game, even if you run into lobbies that you just straight up cannot win, there's always lessons you could take from the experiences, and definitely from your play session in aggregate. And that's where we arrive at the real point of contention with these Chrono Shield cards, is that they kind of circumnavigate the process of becoming a better player. Now I know Netease puts out a special skin at gold rank every season, currently it's for Emma Frost, and they don't want players to miss out on that. But frankly, if they don't want players to miss out on it, they should really just make it about playing a certain amount of matches, and I think that would be more effective to keeping players engaged. Right now I want to point out a pro player that I really enjoy. His name is Otter, and he does solo grinds from unranked up to celestial. He's a pretty cool guy, you should check him out, follow his channel. The point is, it usually takes him sometimes up to 40 hours to take a single character from the bottom to the top. And this is in total playtime. This isn't the time in between the games. So if it takes a person who is this phenomenal at the game, literally a 0.01% player, how long does it take the average player to simply go from bronze to gold? Because that's the real question we're asking here. Is the engagement-based systems or the skill-based systems too rigid? Are the point systems not rewarding enough, or is it rewarding the wrong things? And also, maybe the forbidden question in all of this, are the players asking too much of the developers? Because I have experience with players asking too much of developers. I was there in Fortnite Chapter 1, and the history of Fortnite Chapter 1 is players asking the developers for things to combat the building mechanic, when we all know, 7 years later, that the building mechanic was the whole point of Fortnite. There is merit to the developers going their own way with the game systems, sticking to their game plan, you know, having a creative vision and holding on to that. Of course, you gotta listen to the players, but sometimes the players aren't actually correct. I'm not going to pass any judgment on that because the point of this video is to encourage discussion, but I'm going to say that I'm a big believer in the time-in mentality, and this game definitely rewards that mentality, as we've seen some insanely bad statistics on some high-ranking players, not pro players. But if you can play 1,000 games in this ranked mode, get to Grandmaster with a 30% win rate, then it's really just a matter of how dedicated to the system you are. I will say I'm not really that mad about the Chrono Shield cards right now because of the way they're implemented. They're part of an in-game event that everyone can earn. You can't actually get into ranked mode until you're level 15, so people aren't going to make Smurf accounts to get these because the current rank season ends in less than 2 weeks. And I'm going to withhold judgment on this mechanic until I see, 1, how they rework the rank system in the new season, and 2, what they do with these cards in the future, because that is the big question of the day. Comment down below how you're feeling about all this, and of course, like and subscribe for more Marvel Rivals commentary.